A CNBC Squawk Box interview has turned into a firestorm of controversy, hundreds of emails pouring in over an interview conducted by Joe Kernan on global warming. The fireworks began when Joe challenged singer Sheryl and comic Larry David's wife Laurie over their Stop Global Warming college tour.
Do you have an idea if we're not going to use hydrocarbons, what should we use at this point? Would we go the solar route or the wind route or perhaps maybe nuclear?
I think there are lots of opportunities to explore wind power, solar power, obviously. We can use coal. We've got to go with clean coal plants instead of these dirty coal plants. And I guess I don't understand the reticence that people are displaying on this subject when we're living through what I feel like are perfect examples of what's happening and what we can expect in the future.
Seems civil enough, but Sheryl Crow went on to blog about the appearance, writing about, quote, our live interview with the very adversarial reporter on CNBC. She went on to write, I have to wonder if Joe Kernan argued on the side of the tobacco industry. But was Joe all that wrong for questioning whether the human footprint on global warming is as big as everyone says it is? Patrick Michaels is senior fellow at the Cato Institute and author of Meltdown, The Predictable Distortion of Global Warming by Scientists, Politicians, and the Media. And Philip Clapp is the president of the National Environmental Trust. Patrick, let me start with you. Is global warming driven a lot by politicians and celebrities that have an agenda?
Well, it's a real issue, and it's become an extremely polarized issue. People view it as, some people say, well, there's no such thing as global warming.
Right.
And other people say it's the end of the world. The truth lies somewhere in between. But unfortunately, in this Washington polarization process, we make issues look much more extreme than they are. And that's too bad, because it's precluding a necessary and very real discussion about this issue in the noise of the polarization.
Philip, what do you think? Is the human footprint as big as everyone says it is?
I actually agree with Dr. Michaels in exactly what he said. This is a very serious issue. We have the scientific evidence now released by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change only a few weeks ago, with 2,500 of the world's leading scientists saying we have 90% certainty. That's literally the certainty that we have that smoking...
Well, not everyone on that panel is a scientist, though, right?
Yes, everyone on that panel is a scientist. I'm sorry, we're talking about 2,500 scientists from 130 countries, and everyone is a scientist. And that report showed with 90% certainty that human-induced global warming is responsible for what we're seeing now. There have certainly been natural warmings in the past, but it's responsible for what we're seeing now. And that's a panel that
Patrick,
is supported.
That's
a panel that's supported by the Bush administration, and the president embraced the results.
Let's let Patrick respond. Patrick, do you agree with that?
Well, not all the people on the committee are scientists, but that's really not relevant. You know, the planet has been warming for several decades now, and I think there's a pretty strong influence of humans, particularly in the way the warming is distributed around the planet. But that's really nothing new. Scientists have known this for some time. It's really, I was shocked by the outcry about that in the report, rather than the notation that the estimates for sea level rise for the next century, the maximum estimates actually come down a little bit. I think that's very, very interesting news. That's not getting any coverage in the polarized noise on this issue, unfortunately.
Well, I was also confused in the interview on Squawk Box. And Philip, tell me if this is true. In the past, there have been higher levels of carbon dioxide without levels of warming.
You know, that's actually false. There have been incidents where there have been significant concentrations of carbon in the atmosphere, which were not induced by humans, actually. They were induced by everything from volcanoes.
But they didn't cause higher levels of warming.
That's absolutely not the case. Actually, they did cause levels of significant warming, and you saw significant die-offs of species and very serious changes in sea levels. You saw melting of glaciers, literally the same phenomenon that scientists are identifying now.
Okay. Well, it seems like we're not going to be able to agree during this interview either, but this is why this debate continues, and I thank both of you for joining us.